everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to discuss Wi-Fi. What is Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity. It's your wireless network. Now, before I get started showing what is best for your network, possibly could be for your network, I am going to discuss how they used to set things up, which they don't, this way they don't. When I first got Wi-Fi, you either had to get a wireless router that was either for DSL, which stands for digital subscriber line, or broadband, which is like Spectrum. When we switched over from DSL to broadband, we were going to use the original wireless. It would not work. At this particular time, you had to have a wireless that was specific towards the type of ISP. Here is why. I'll show you in just a second with a description here. So with wireless, you also have data packets. What happens is your wireless gets the data and it opens it up, puts it in its own packet and sends it out. So let me give you a little example of what happens here. So you have your data packet, right? I'm just going to right? So this is a regular data packet. With wireless, what happens is this is your hardline data packet connected through a line. The router opens it up, puts it in its own packet, and sends it out. Right? So let's say DSL is this. This is a DSL, right? And you try to hook this into this, it's not going to work because the data packets are different. Nowadays, it won't matter with these. So here's how the new stuff works. So I'm going to start at the top. This is Amazon. And I'm going to show you something. So this is Google Nest Wi-Fi router. It says 4,400 square feet of coverage. This is $300. What this will do with these two devices, you can cover a 4,400 square foot house. So let me show you here. Right? So let's say this is 4,400. This is a signal. So the signal you can get around your house. What would happen? This is what would happen if you only use half. Right? So this is, you're only going to get the coverage here. Now, my house, we had that problem. So what I did at the time, because we wanted a cheap fix, I ran a line from one room, ran it to the other side of the house, and plugged in another wireless. Now, if we had this, we could use it, but the problem is there's a lot of walls the signal has to go through. And when signals go through a lot of walls, it degrades. So this is another Wi-Fi router. Dual band. And a lot of these have dual accounts. You have your main account and you have your guest account. The main account is what your everybody who lives in your house uses. And then you have a guest. So what happens with a guest account? Okay, so you're going to have I'm just going to split it. You're going to have, and you're going to have G. Right? So this is all your stuff. Okay? You do not want guests coming in and connecting to that, because then they have access to everything on your network. If you connect it to a guest, that is a completely separate account. So basically, if someone attacks your network for whatever reason, let's say you have a friend come over and they're being not a nice person and they attack the guest account, you don't have to worry as much, because you go in there and you change it, or you can turn the guest account off on them. All right, so back to the Wi-Fi routers here. And there's different kinds. Now, my grandparents' house, they have a huge house. Their office is on the front end of the house. And if they want Wi-Fi throughout the house, they're going to have to get a wireless, because they're using the factory wireless that came with their modem from their internet service provider, which I told them not to do. But they would have to get something like this. The mesh Wi-Fi system home Wi-Fi router replacement max wireless. So it would cover 6 rooms. So what they would have to do is place one, obviously the router in their office, and what they would have to do is place one of these in the middle of the house and place one up on the second story. And it would cover the whole house, because their house is on a slab foundation. Otherwise, it would be very, very difficult to tear into the walls and do all that. So Wi-Fi is a good thing. Now, this right here, this is a Wi-Fi signal extender. Let's say you have a 4,000 square foot house, right? You have another 500 square feet. Let's say the signal stops at the doorway. You put one of these in the addition. You connect it to your main router, and then it'll extend the signal into that room. And then you have mesh. There's all different kinds. Now, what I had to do, let's discuss streaming for a little bit here. When you stream, you are watching something on the internet. Okay? We had a wireless router that was so old that it could barely keep up with the streaming. Unfortunately, networks changed, the way the data is delivered is changed, and stuff like that. We kept getting the buffering from the Spectrum app that our Roku uses. So what we had to do is we bought a Linksys wireless router. I happen to like Linksys. It works really well. I've never had a real problem with them. We got this wireless right here. Now, this covers a lot, almost the whole house, but we still have our second wireless in case we throw a party and we're in our backyard, and we could do that. Now, the reason we got this is it can handle streaming. What happens is you have a buffer, and I'll explain that in just a second here. So you have a buffer, right? So let's say this is your buffer. You have data packets, and they're building up. When it goes across here, that's buffer overrun, and what happens is it throws the data packet out. And that was happening to us. So we got one that could handle streaming, and yes, this will handle wireless streaming as well as connected through a cable streaming, so it covers streaming on both. We only had it do it once, but the recovery is so much faster. It's really, really nice. Now, this will fix the majority of the problems that we had, but the problem is there's always limitations to your network. So you don't have to go out every 6 months and buy a new wireless. You figure it out, because a lot of times with the Wi-Fi, it might be just the Wi-Fi router is too old. So I like that. And there's different setups. Now, when you buy wireless stuff, the Wi-Fi stuff, get it to what you need. Don't go spend a ton of money and go, I don't need this, I don't need this. You want to make sure you're putting the money in the right spots, because if you put the money in the wrong spot, you're going to go broke trying to figure out what you're doing. You don't want to do that. So see, like this, if you have a really, 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 really small house, this would work just fine if you didn't have a lot of stuff on the network. Like if you, there's a switch on the back of these. Here, I'll show you. So if you click that, there is a switch. This is a switch. For my network, I should say the house network, we have a lot of stuff running. So we need that streaming. You may not. You might only have a desktop computer, a Roku, and a PlayStation. This would be fine for you. And a lot of the new stuff now comes with a power switch. That is pretty good, because in case you're having issues or something happens, you just turn that switch off. And you have security. And you have all sorts of stuff that you can use. So, with that said, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.